In this video, we're doing part 2 of the 11 sales tips for coaches so you can simplify the process and get more clients. This is sales part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, we talked a lot about context, and then we did the first 3 of these 11 sales tips. So we're going to finish that up today. But first of all, before I go there, I want to say that a lot of people in the coaching industry are struggling to a degree. And we don't want to always just focus on the struggle, by the way. I mean, we talk a lot about what's holding people back and so forth, but all of these concepts are foundational. And the cool thing about foundational concepts is they can propel you to your next level, whatever that looks like. So if you're trying to get to the next level of success, going from 4 figures to 5 figures, or 3 figures to 4 figures to 5 to 6, or whatever that looks like, or you're wanting to launch a book, or you want to do something new, the fundamental principles are what you're going to have to rely on to get to that next level as well. So regardless of whether we're talking about a second grader going to third grade, or a ninth grader going to 10th grade, or somebody with a master's going into a PhD program, these foundational concepts are really important. And most of the time, what I see is that when coaches are struggling, especially in sales, it's because of one of 3 things. Either their coaching skills are lacking, which means they don't have the certainty. We talked a lot about that in previous classes. Or they're not using their coaching skills and they're just trying to use sales skills, right? And the third one that's aligned with that one, or that comes off of that one, is the sales skills that they're using aren't aligned with them, right? If you're a teacher and you're trying to sell like a boiler room salesperson that's selling stocks, and you take that and number one, just try to put that into your teacher identity, that's not going to feel good. But you're selling a completely different product, so that's also not going to feel good. Most coaches need to actually coach more on their sales calls, and it puts you in your zone of passion and genius, and then you don't feel that misaligned energy that I spoke to yesterday. So go back and watch all these videos a couple times. All right, let's jump into number 4. The 4th sales tip is inspire their hearts. Don't just inform their heads. Now, there is some information that some people need, but let them ask for it. If they need information, they'll ask for it. What a lot of us tend to do is we over-inform, and we forget that humans buy emotionally. We justify logically, but we buy emotionally. Even when we buy widgets and commodities, we even still buy those things emotionally. But especially with transformational coaching, we want to feel a certain way, or we want to stop feeling a certain way. And I'm sure you've all done this. Most of us have already purchased what we want emotionally, right? We want more happiness. We want more joy. We want more connection. We just don't really know how to get there. And information, because we all have an unlimited supply of information hasn't gotten us there, so information is not going to get us there. And if you are informing the head, you're actually entering the space where all the objections are also, because it's people's heads that don't want to waste money and don't want to lose again and don't want to feel like they're being taken advantage of. It's our heads where all the logical objections are. And so I suggest you don't enter the vault of objections and really instability. You want to speak to people's hearts. Because of that, I think I'm going to jump around, actually. Jump around. Jump up and get down. No, we'll just keep on going. I was going to see if there was another one that fed right off of that one perfectly. But these all relate to each other, and these aren't any kind of sequential order. So the 5th one is your goal is to get to a decision. All right, so this one will completely change your energy on the calls and your energy after the calls, and because of that, your energy before the calls. We have been conditioned that the right answer is a yes. We want that to be our answer. And to some degree, of course, we want it to be the answer because we can't actually change anybody's life unless they say yes. But the majority of the sales training, the majority of the mindset, the methodology, the ideology, the intentions, the goals are how do we get somebody to say yes? So this becomes the target. All roads lead to there in our hope and in so much of the sales trainings. But remember, when somebody says yes to you in coaching, your relationship starts. When somebody says yes and you're buying Girl Scout cookies, let's say, or you're selling Girl Scout cookies and somebody says yes, your relationship ends. Now, there are some products where, there's still a relationship and customer service and so forth. But what you got to understand is so much of the sales training is literally not just selling different products, but completely different energies and essences and like life cycles, So much of our sales training, the majority of the life cycle is from original engagement to yes, and then it's over. In coaching, the yes begins a much deeper relationship. And so you don't even want everybody to say yes to you. If you're getting the majority of the people to say yes to you, you're not selling anything meaningful. I promise you that. You're not being bold enough if most people are saying yes to your life-changing coaching. Why do I say that? Because most people actually will not say yes to changing their lives. So your goal should not be to get everybody to a yes. And I'm not quite here yet. I'm moving more toward not being frustrated or angry at the idea that you can turn all objections into a yes. I'm not there yet. I'm better than I used to be. But there's so many programs out there that are literally titled things like how to turn objections into a yes, how to turn every no into a yes. And in the coaching industry, it's bullshit. It's bullshit because you don't want the yeses, and it's bullshit to think that you can do that. The only way you're going to turn no's into yeses is manipulation. That's the only way, because not everybody should say yes. The majority of people should say no. If we recognize that every choice the person makes is the right choice for them in the moment. So your goal should not be to get them to say yes. Your goal should be to get them to make the right decision for them in the moment. And if the right decision for them in the moment with their perspective is a no, that's fine. You want decisions, you don't want yeses. The other reason this is really critical is because if yes is the right answer, then no is the wrong answer. And you're going to get more no's than yeses anyway, which means you're going to experience more of the wrong answers, which creates, it takes that cycle, the fear of failing and the fear of rejection, and it just exaggerates it like almost infinitely. So we've got to move to the point where we're not afraid of a no. We just want one answer. We don't want people on the fence. If you're a yes, that's fine. If you're a no, that's fine. But I don't know is not fine. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we want to strong arm people and make them say yes or no right there on the call. But when we can remove our energy around the fear of them saying no, here's the good news. More of them will say yes. Because when you're afraid of their no, you're going to be defending against the no. You're going to be manipulating for the yes. And all of that energy stinks. And it's not going to actually invite people if you are emotionally invested and emotionally afraid of those two answers. Emotionally invested in the yes and emotionally afraid of the no, they'll be able to feel it. So you want decisions, you don't want yeses in the coaching industry. Now, that might not, if you're selling brooms or selling some other widget or other service that's not coaching, these concepts don't necessarily transfer, right? I'm talking about coaching. The next one is increase your value, not your sales skills, especially not the hardcore sales skills. As you do more and more consultations, your sales skills technically will increase because you'll get more sales, you'll be talking to more people, but don't increase your stock market sales skills. Don't increase your insurance sales skills. Don't increase the sales skills that are designed to sell a different product. Because the better you get at the wrong kind of sales skills, the worse you're going to be selling your product. All right. Number 7, you're not selling yourself, you're selling their results. The reason that most of us take their answers personally is because we put ourselves in the offer. We emotionally put ourselves on the table. So if they say yes, it's like they're saying yes to us. But the downside to that is if they say no, it's like they're saying no to us. Now, are we in the offer to some degree? Yeah, because we're the product. But if your product delivers results for them and they say no, and you're clean with your certainty and you've got detachment, healthy detachment from who you are as a person and what you deliver as a product, which is a whole nother conversation. We'll dive into that at some point, I'm sure. You will have a healthy separation so that when they say no, they're saying no to those results. They're not saying no to you as a person. If everybody says no to you means everybody who says no to you, if that means that you suck as a person, or you're not valuable as a person, well, then you need to get yourself back up. You need to recover from that in order to even make another offer. But if most of the people are going to say no anyway, then it's going to be a journey of misery. So we've got to get you to the point where you show up clean and you make bold offers and you basically say, this is what my coaching can do for you, especially if you give them an experience. And then if they say no to more coaching, you will scratch your head more than you punish yourself. You'll be like, why would somebody say no to the results that this transformational coaching can produce for them? That doesn't make sense to me. Instead of, oh my goodness, I'm doing the wrong thing. I need to get better in sales. I need to drop my prices. I need to change myself to get people to say yes because I need them to like me. It's rotten energy in the sales process of coaching. So you've got to have this healthy separation. And again, with pretty much everything that I teach here, the good news is, even though it might not make sense to our intellect sometimes, the more that you don't try to force decisions, the more people will choose what you actually want, which is yes. The more you'll do that because you're not using your energy to chase them. When you use your energy to chase them, the natural human response is going to be to pull back because people don't like to be chased. And if you're desperate in your sales, then they'll feel that. The last 4 here, I wonder what goes in that F space. Follow a guideline. Flexible guideline. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Follow a flexible guideline. Flexible guideline. Not everybody is the same person. I think you know that. I think we all intellectually understand that. But our human brain just wants rigidity so much. We want to know exactly what to say to everybody all the time that will produce the same predictable result all the time. And we're dealing with humans, so that's literally impossible. You want a guideline that has flexibility inside of it, but you do want bumper rails. You do want a path. You want some, I call it flexible rigidity. So there's rigidity in the overall conversation and a few of the topics, but there's flexibility inside of there that'll allow you to maneuver according to who's in front of you. The best thing you can do for this, to get all of my opinions on this, is to register for our free consultation guide. We've got a consultation guide that'll tell you exactly what I suggest you say on your consultations. I know Michelle used that for pretty much all those sales calls that she was talking about yesterday. And we had somebody in one of our groups that said that he, I think, used it 5 or 10 times, and either 4 out of 5 or 8 out of 10 people ended up saying yes. Not that yes is necessarily the goal. It's not manipulation, but this will allow you to make a bold offer and keep it clean. And the right person that's aligned with you is going to say yes, and hopefully the wrong person will say no. Number 9, you must be a purchaser of the product. And I'll also say you must be a product of the product. The product being transformational coaching, whatever it is that you're offering people, you've got to be a product of that. If you're not a product of this kind of product, you're not going to be able to advocate for their results. You're not going to be able to speak with your own certainty, with any integrity about what you've experienced through this. The transformational coaching invitation is actually quite scary to a lot of people because we're dealing with a lot of unknowns, even though it makes sense that if people could learn how to completely shift their life into a better reality, you would think that everybody's like, yeah, let me do that. That's not the case. So there's got to be certainty in this product, and you've got to pay for it. You know, I used to be a lot more wishy-washy on this. Like, you know, we suggest you pay for coaching and you probably should pay for coaching. You have to pay for coaching. If you're trying to get other people to pay for the coaching that you won't pay for, there's a piece of me that knows that that's one of the problems, like from just an ethical standpoint, selling things you haven't purchased. And the coaching industry has been commoditized so much by that ideology. However, if I come off of my judgmental soapbox, the reality is you won't have the certainty to walk people through a decision that you haven't made. That is going to ruin your energy. And there's just a lot of people that go, you know, I'll pay for coaching when I can afford it by selling coaching first. Now, if you can't afford our prices and our company or somebody else's prices, you can afford somebody somewhere. Find somebody somewhere that you can afford. Get creative. Do something. Go sell something on the side. Drive Uber or Lyft or something. If it's important enough for you, I want you to be resourceful enough so that you can write a check and get yourself in that motion of purchasing the product that you want to sell. Energetically, it will destroy your certainty if you don't do that. So I'm saying this for your benefit, not as a sales tactic for you to hire us as your coach or any kind of moral judgment and ethical judgment. I'm saying this as your benefit because we've just seen it all the time. Almost everybody who's struggling, one of the first questions we ask is, do you have a coach? And most of the time, it's no. Or I'm trading coaching, or I'm practicing coaching, or my neighbor's also going through a coaching program, so I'm letting them coach me. And there's a huge difference between a professional coach and a training coach. I'm going to jump off the soapbox for now, only because of the time. The 10th one is clean up your relationship to, all right, now we're getting deeper and deeper as we get towards the end of this list here. Clean up your relationship to money and success. If you have a negative relationship with money, your brain will sabotage everything that could possibly bring you money. And if you do accidentally get a lot of money, your brain will figure out a way to wash it away. Same thing with success. If you have a negative relationship with money and success, and those two things are often related, and that's usually because there's some kind of an emotional belief that you're trying to overcome by money and success. You know, if you don't feel clear, if you don't feel good enough, if you don't feel happy, or you don't feel something, if there's some kind of void, and your patterning and your program says money and or success will fix that, that's an unhealthy relationship, and it will work its way into anything that is related to success, or anything that's related to money, including these sales opportunities for you. And the final one on that note is to heal your wounds that money cannot heal. I'm going to end this 11 sales tip list with the really, really realest of the real. I think most coaches are trying to heal their wounds with other people's wallets. Most coaches are trying to heal their emotional conflicts with money from other people. And it shows up everywhere. If your marketing has your desperation in it, then the only people that you're going to attract are people that are resonating with that same level of desperation, and you actually won't attract healthy coaching clients. Now, we all have wounds. I've been doing this 17 years. I still have plenty of them. If any of you feel like you've gotten rid of yours and you need a few more, I can email you some of mine, because I still got plenty, right? We're human. We are wounded animals. Like, that's what we are as humans. And the intensity of the wound is going to vary, obviously, with our own individual circumstances. But in the coaching industry, I think, and it started to morph into something that I think is really unhealthy for the entire industry and for individual coaches. Because of, or maybe this has produced a lot of stuff I was talking about, like get to a yes, get to a yes, get to a yes, charge what you're worth, charge what you're worth. So much of our training in the coaching industry is actually just overcompensation for woundedness. And there's nothing wrong with being a coach while wounded, right? Because like I said, if you have to clean all your wounds and heal all your wounds before you can coach, then I'm just going to turn in my coaching card, and all of us need to stop what we're doing. So there's no line to cross that says healed, I'm done with that, right? Check that box. But we have programming in our society where we think money is going to heal our emotional void. And if that's the case, whether you're selling transformational coaching, or you are selling brooms, or you are selling insurance, or you're doing anything else, it can't work. It cannot work. So if you recognize that you've got some money band-aids, meaning that you've been programmed like the rest of us have, that money is going to solve the emotional problems, that must be healed if you ever want to do this cleanly. And I'll tell you, I've sat down in this industry with 7-figure coaches, 7-figure business, huge revenue, a lot of what looks like external impact. And they're literally depressed and suicidal. Literally, the words out of their mouth. I just say that, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or anything like that. I just say that because if $5 doesn't heal your emotional wound, 5 million won't either. It doesn't matter if you stack as many band-aids as you possibly can in the form of money. It's incapable of solving the emotional conflicts that we have. So if that's part of your, and please let me know with all of this stuff, what's landing for you? Not just for us to know, but for you to know. Because part of you implementing is what's your next step. So if you know that healing your relationship with money and success, or healing something else that you've got to clear in order to be able to separate, is your next step, then that's what you've got to do. And again, the good news is this will increase your revenue like crazy because your blood won't be in your offers. You won't be seeing everything as a potential to heal the wound, and that actually completely liberates you in making a lot of these offers. And so I just want to highlight in closing here, I just want to highlight the idea that when we get clean and clear with our emotional relationship to this whole process, everything becomes so much easier. It becomes infinitely easier, quicker, faster, more long-lasting, more sustainable than us continuing to overcompensate or trying to overcompensate with success. If you like this video and you want to stay inside the sales conversation, check out that video right there with the biggest sales mistakes new coaches make. To reject. And that's why people are afraid of doing videos. That's why people are afraid of putting their creations out there into the world, because there's a risk of rejection.
Yeah, that's why we're committed to